Now let's move on to the main theme of the chapter. The main theme of the chapter is about arts. It revolves around the art of painting told through the help of various stories. In this story, The Landscape of the Soul, the author presents two instances of painting to show the beauty and difference in the perception of painters. The first instance is about a Chinese painter who paints a landscape with utmost precision for the emperor. The second instance is about a blacksmith called Quentin Mitz. He falls in love with the painter's daughter and realizes that the painter will never accept a blacksmith to be his son-in-law. Now main theme is done. Now let's move on to the introduction.
Introduction to the lesson, written by Nathalie Trevroy. The chapter is about how different the Chinese art form is. From the European art form, the writer uses two stories to make a contrast. European art is about reproducing an actual view, whereas Chinese art is about not create a real landscape.
It's important to know the character of the chapter. So let's move on to the character list.
Character list. Wu Daozi, a painter who lived in 8th century, his painting was a landscape and was commissioned by Tang Emperor Xuanzong. Quentin Metzes, master blacksmith who fell in love with a painter daughter, as he knew the girl's father wouldn't accept a guy with such a profession. He painted a fly with such a profession that he was accepted as an apprentice at a.
Now let's sum up and move on to summary.
The summary is this story is a beautiful illustration of art by the author. In this chapter, you will see different art forms being compared and the interpretation of these paintings from the artist's perspective. The author tries to show a comparison of the different art forms based on region.
This chapter deals with the stories and myths circulating famous painting in ancient time. The focus is laid on how realistic the painting and how beautifully created.
Last but not the least, it's time for learning objectives. So, the objectives are: first, the difference between Western and Eastern painting, that is, European and Chinese. Second, tales from the East. Third, tales from the West. Fourth, outsider art. Fifth, Shenxi. Sixth, about the emperor and the artist.